Musicians on the Road. I'm Lisa Oligas, and this is Newsmakers. In this edition, we learn about the SynapseStarSearch, an entertainment competition that has been collecting submissions via a bus tour across the country. It's on its way to Nashville for the finals and made a stop here at Missouri Southern State University, where musical artists on the bus presented a concert for students and the community. We'll talk to the performers, a contest judge who's a professional rope jumper, and learn about life on the road and living in a bus. We get the conversation started with the MC of the SynapseStarSearch, also a guest performer, singer, songwriter, and recording artist, Andrew Salgado. Thanks so much for stopping here.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
So this is, and for entertaining our students as well, and community guests. Let's begin though with the SynapseStarSearch from CNS Publishing and entertainment. What is the goal of this competition? How did people get entered?
So there were submissions for a long time, and then there was a process to decide who would compete in the region. So we had 4 regions, one in Houston, one in Fort Worth, there's one coming up in Nashville, and there's one coming up in Chicago. 4 people from each one of those will go on to the finals November 2nd for Analog Room.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, and it's not just singers. It's singers, dancers, variety acts, and anything else that was in their little bubble.
Yeah. So you're the MC of this event. You yourself, though, were a singer who was in a competition.
Yeah.
Tell us about how you got your start and how that experience plays into this effort now.
Yeah. Well, for me, in 2013, I did the Pepsi Southern Original, and I just wanted to go and just be there. I didn't really think about winning. I definitely didn't plan on winning. And then all of a sudden I won, and there's a lot of other doors that opened up because of Randy and Moose and Daryl and a bunch of people and all the wonderful people at Pepsi. This contest in particular is not that, but in a way Synapse wants to help somebody kind of move forward. So there's a $10,000 cash prize. There's other prizes as well, depending on who wins. If a variety act wins, or a comedy guy wins, actually it's called a comedian, or a singer wins. So that'll happen November 2nd. Someone will win that and start something.
So what can those artists expect if they win? How does something like that impact your future? And is it important that they continue to market themselves? Yeah,
well, whether they win or not, it's not going to matter for their career, right? Someone will get maybe you can say a little bit of head start. They'll definitely know Synapse, and they'll definitely have some cash to do something with.
Yeah.
But many people in the contest that I was in are still doing it today, and are still achieving their success. And I think for all the contestants, whether you win or lose, it's just more important that you keep doing it.
Yeah. So you've worked with Synapse as a publishing company, and then as an independent artist. What is it like to make it in music and to work in those different genres? Or,
I mean, it's whether you have a label or you don't have a label, it's very difficult. The industry is always going to be up and down, and that's kind of why I said just keep doing it. Whatever that doing it is, if that's writing a song today or playing a show next week or building to play a show, or as long as you keep moving forward, you'll find a way to stay in this, and it's always going to be difficult. And I used to think it would get easier, and I would ask a lot of my friends that have achieved a lot of success and go, when does this get easier? And all of their words were, it never gets easier. You just find easier ways to manage it.
Sounds good. All right. So how would you describe your style of music? Because, there's a lot of different genres, and actually country itself is becoming even more pop these days.
It is. I've always said, I don't know where I fit, but I do know the songs are honest, right? And that was the most important thing to me, was to be authentic with what I was saying and what I was doing. And I didn't start off that way. I had to kind of learn the hard way to just trust myself and just go with the realness of everything around me, instead of, oh, this is what they want to hear, and this is what might get me on radio. And then I flipped really hard in 2022 into I'm just going to write songs that make sense.
Do you think people can relate to that?
I
Being
think
vulnerable and sharing an experience that might touch emotionally? Yeah,
I think if you look at the songs that made it onto country radio for me, all of them are real stories that people can relate to because they've probably gone through it. Like if they've gone through a breakup where they had to learn how to forget someone, learning how to forget probably makes sense to them. Or if they went through a breakup where they really wanted to talk to the other person and they couldn't, why didn't I call you might make sense. Or if you've been in the friend zone a lot of times, like he should, makes a lot of sense. Or if you have a grandpa that was your hero, drove a truck, makes sense. So I think if you write something real, it has a chance to get to somebody.
Now, you've been on a tour bus for quite a while. What is that life like, and how can it be hard?
At first, it's very fun, and then you're in small quarters. Sleeping on a bus that's moving, the first time I did it was really fun. And then you start feeling all the bumps, and then you get used to sleeping that way. And then your bed becomes even more comfortable than you could have imagined when you get back home. But it's really difficult to travel just by itself. But when you step on stage, the energy you feel and the excitement helps you get to the next place and helps you get to the next place. If I was just traveling with no shows, I don't think I could ever do that.
Yeah, there has to be a reward.
Something. Yes, give and take, right?
Yeah. So do you really enjoy the live performing?
Oh, more than anything. The guy that's having the most fun is always me. Yeah, I mean, I love to play. It's a lot easier to get me on stage than it is to get me off stage.
Okay. So tell us, and then as you toured with the Star Search, did you meet people along the way? Was that part of the fun?
Yeah, it's also really cool too to just see, someone submit and then watch them submit, and then, the other people that chose the regional winners, okay, now they're here. It's like, oh, I saw you submit, now I saw you here, and they make it to the finals. I was like, hey, I'll see you in November. And to kind of watch that process is really cool too, and to just see people. Everybody wants to get help in this industry, right? And everybody wants to afford to be able to do what they want to do. And this is another little thing to be able to do that. So it's very cool in that aspect to watch it.
Excellent. Well, we're going to hear from some of the others talking about life on the bus. Thank you, Andrew, for telling us all about the SynapseStarSearch. When we come back, we visit with another performer from the SynapseStarSearch bus tour who serves as a talent judge who has his own unique talent. First in this break, Bus Life. We take you on a quick tour and talk to the driver.
So I worked in Hollywood for 28 years, spent some time at Warner Brothers and in transportation. So that kind of qualified me for doing this kind of job. It's kind of easy. It's, a lot of hours and get to visit a lot of places.
So my favorite part is that this swings. So we're gonna give you a bus tour. This is obviously the passenger side. Very important for navigating, helping the driver, and probably most importantly, keeping the driver awake. This is the couch. We've got DVDs and storage up here. This is where people will eat. Some people will work here. So this is probably one of my favorite spots to be. This is my other favorite spot to be if I'm watching a movie, especially if it's a Marvel movie. And then here's a kitchen that we never use. Here's a microwave that we always use. There's a bunch of other storage stuff and storage stuff and storage stuff. There's a stove we never use. Countertop that we always use. There's 2 bunks here that have stuff on it already. So there's one bunk up here. It's got its own TV. One bunk down here. It's got its own TV. This is a full working bathroom and shower. You kind of walk around. You can use the bathroom while we're moving. You cannot shower. I mean, you can. It's very difficult if you're going to try to pull it off. And then back here is a king-size bed with a bunch of storage. And that's literally it. I think the coolest thing is this right here. This, I can do anything with the bus, from turning the lights on and off to turning off whatever lights I want and whatever lights I don't want off, to taking the temperature. As you can see, it's 87 in the front, 76 in the back. But you can turn off the back and make it cooler inside. And then this controls how we move it. This whole thing here, this whole wall moves in and out. This whole thing will retract in. It's a very long process, but it'll get all the way to where we can drive. You won't believe, look at them. You won't believe how close it gets when we're moving. It goes more than this, but we're gonna leave it. Now you can watch just how much it moves out. This whole thing, if you look at David, you'll see just how much more room he gets on the floor. And so when we're stopped somewhere and we want to open it up and, stay a while, this is what we do. It becomes more like an apartment. But when it's moving, very tight quarters. Very tight, as you can see.
So this is where you guys stay? Like, you guys don't do hotels or anything? Or
it depends. It depends on the temperature. It depends on the amount of people on here. There's a lot of factors. Probably what it's most commonly used for a lot of people across the country is to sleep. We can only really sleep 3-4 people, and they've got to share a bed together. This turns into a bed if we really want to do that. That turns into a bed if we really want to do that. And this thing up here drops down into a bed. But the seats have to be moved forward, and it comes all the way down, to here, and is a full bed. The other thing that people do is they'll have a couple people sleeping on here, and maybe 1 or 2 people in a hotel, and then everyone will use that hotel shower. So someone will shower and come on, and then everyone will kind of go up. It's a very fun little circus we do walking in and out of hotels, like 9 of us with stuff, and we don't know what our room number is. So, and then we all get free breakfast, which is fine. There's no problem with that because we have 1 hotel room. I'm just kidding. Most times we don't have time for breakfast, even if we wanted to do something like that. And most times buses leave between 12 a.m. and 7 a.m. when there's less traffic and they can make up more ground, especially when you're only driving 50 miles an hour sometimes. You can't drive 70 or 75 in a car like on some of those highways. So yeah.
Welcome back to Newsmakers, where we are being visited by the SynapseStarSearch bus tour. Any competition requires judges, and we are joined by one of them right now. David Fisher is the chief judge of the competition and a professional jump rope artist traveling with the SynapseStarSearch tour. Welcome, David.
Thank you.
So how does one become a professional jump roper? How do you make a career in this?
Well, I started jumping rope. I was a AA volleyball player, which is the highest amateur level that there is. I played against some of the guys who played in the Olympics. I started jumping rope to train for volleyball, and then just fell in love with this sport because there's so many different fun, creative things that you can do with it. I started by doing volunteer work with the American Heart Association with their Jump Rope for Heart program, and started doing school assemblies. And then I went to something called Showcase, which is a trade show for people that do school assemblies. And once I went there, it just kind of exploded from there. And I've been a professional rope jumper for over 30 years now.
You've got a lot of accolades, though. So tell me some. I mean, you've performed for presidents, right?
I performed at both President Clinton and President Bush's inaugurations, and I was a soloist in the opening ceremonies for the Goodwill Games in Russia, and I was right in front of Boris Yeltsin and Ted Turner and 80,000 people.
A lot of TV appearances. Tell me about some of those. I mean, how many? Are we in the hundreds now?
Over 100 national television appearances. I have been on America's Got Talent, so I have a little experience that's helping me with being a judge at the SynapseStarSearch.
Well, I was going to say that were you part of a competition at some point, and you've been traveling on the bus. So tell me about the idea of the competition and being a judge, and what are you looking for?
For me, I'm looking for, I love originality, things, and I've been doing a little songwriting myself, and so I'm much more of a lyricist, and Delaney and Andrew are tremendous musicians and songwriters. I love to find someone who's maybe wrote a song about another topic that somebody else would never cover. I love creative lyrics and some wordplay in there. And obviously I'm looking for great singers and songwriters. And then, as far as the variety acts go, talent obviously, wins the day, but creativity, ingenuity, all of that, and obviously stage presence.
Well, I mean, America's Got Talent has kind of revitalized the idea of a variety act. I mean, for a long time, variety shows were really popular decades ago, and then they kind of went away for a while. But it's nice to see these acts get a platform. And it's nice that you guys are giving them a platform as well. Are you seeing a lot of variety acts submitted? Give us an idea of the different kinds of acts that have submitted into the contest.
Comedians. I know in Chicago, there's a yo-yo champion and top spinner that will be there. There's a dulcimer player.
Wow.
But more comedians than any other type of variety act, and then a lot more singer-songwriters than anything.
Yeah. What would you say, I mean, you have a very unique act. What would you say to someone who might have an unusual talent as to how they get there, how they become famous? What would be your advice for them to get noticed?
So obviously there are traditional paths that other people have taken to find success, but and sometimes you have to create your own path.
Yeah.
For me, the staple of my business has always been school assemblies, and once I found that, that was a great base for me to work off of. And then, you know, I've done halftime shows and corporate events and that kind of thing, but performing for young children, I'm spoiled. They're the best audience. I'm a rock star, so I do stuff in the dark with glow ropes, and it's a very interactive show.
Yeah.
And as I was explaining, that when you go to an elementary school and you need a volunteer, every hand is up. And as the audience gets a little older and older, that there's fewer and fewer hands. So being someone that does a really interactive show, it doesn't get any better for me than performing for young children.
You've all been living on a bus and traveling across the country. How can a bus tour be good for exposure, building a fan base?
Well, obviously the SynapseStarSearch bus is all decked out, and so that creates a lot of attention wherever we're going. And you know, we've got a couple stops along the way in high trafficked areas to say hello to everybody and talk about the event. So that always helps. And then I'm one that was dragged kicking and screaming into the computer age. So others are handling the social media and all of that. But it's been a great experience, and whoever comes out as the winner will obviously get great exposure, but others as well. You know, it can be just the networking with other people can springboard something too.
Yeah. Well, we so appreciate you all being here, and we're going to get a look at you doing a little demonstration of roping. I know I would probably hit myself with the ropes. Do you ever beat yourself up sometimes, or is there a knack to it? I mean, how often do you practice?
Well, I usually don't put things in my routine that I can't perform really well, 98 out of 100 times.
Yeah.
But as I tell the students at schools when I do assemblies, that even as good as I am and as much as I practice, I still make mistakes all the time. And that's part of rope jumping, that's part of learning, it's part of life.
Well, what a great encouragement to a younger generation. And thank you for sharing all this information about the SynapseStarSearch.
Thank you, Lisa.
We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we'll be meeting a rising country music artist. You've seen her video on our KGCS show, Beyond Billboard Hits. We'll meet Delaney Ann next.
He got that belt at the Buckle Barn. He loves Morgan Wallen and the Broadway bars. He loves Tacovas and that ain't wrong. But he's one shot in and his accent's gone. Tips his hat like the real deal. Only steer he knows is on a wheel. That beer he's drinking, it's imported. He said, I know his daddy's real important. If he's in Texas, must be Austin. If he's drinking, then he's buzzed. He's a dime store cowboy, if there ever was. He can't name a Jerry Jeff song, no Texas in his blood. He's a proud member of the This Ain't Country Club. He's seen all of Yellowstone. He loves nicotine, he don't dip or smoke. He'll say howdy ma'am on that first date, then put ketchup on his steak. If he's in Texas, must be Austin. If he's drinking, then he's buzzed. He's a dime store cowboy, if there ever was. He can't name a Jerry Jeff song, no Texas in his blood. He's a proud member of the This Ain't Country Club.
Welcome back to Newsmakers. Also performing with the SynapseStarSearch bus tour is our next guest, a Texas native who's lived and worked in Nashville and is rising on the charts with her song, This Ain't Country Club. Meet Delaney Ann. Welcome to our show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's so great for you guys to stop here on your way to Nashville. You're part of the SynapseStarSearch bus tour, but at age 24, some people would be just starting their career, but yours began at age 13.
Yes.
How did that happen? Tell us about that.
Yes, you know, I was 10 years old. I picked up a guitar and it was love at first sight. And, you know, nothing in my life has been the same since then. I started gigging around town and released an EP, and shortly after that started touring nationally, and, you know, missed a lot of school, did a lot of school on the road, and it was a blast for a childhood, but super excited to now be really, in some ways I feel like I'm just getting started all over again. So
a different approach. Yeah. So you've written about 300 something songs. We take a look at the life on the bus. Is that a good environment for songwriting?
Oh my gosh, I honestly feel like I'm the most inspired on the bus. I feel the most creative. Being surrounded by other creatives and other musicians, it just makes you want to work harder and write better songs.
Awesome. You've been a regular performer at Disneyland, maybe Disney World. Have you opened for artists like Dwight Yoakam? How have these impacted your career, and what do you say to young performers looking for a big break?
Yeah, I think you take every opportunity as they come, and I've been so fortunate to open for some cool people like Dwight Yoakam and Lucas Nelson, and actually opening up in a couple weeks here for Linda Davis, who used to sing with Reba back in the day. So some exciting opportunities I've been given, and I think young performers, we really, you know, every single opportunity, you just take it with gratitude, and again, just enjoy it, because this is the most fun job anyone could ever do.
Well, it's your passion.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So we've played your music video for This Ain't Country Club on our KGCS music video sister show
Thank
called
you.
Beyond Billboard Hits. The song has had 500,000 TikTok views, and you've got 20,000 plus social media followers. How is that key to getting music out there, getting those TikTok and those social media followers?
You know, it's a double-edged sword, right? There's a lot of difficulties that come with social media these days, but I am so grateful to live in an age where we can connect with fans online, where we have this ability to get our music out there through social media. And honestly, for me, having social media has been such a blessing to be able to keep up with fans and watch their lives grow, and you know, they get to keep up with my life as I grow and my career progresses. So I'm very fortunate, and I do love some TikTok, some Instagram, some Facebook.
Does it help get your music played more, or at least, you know, oh, hey, I've got these hits? Does it tell the people in the chart world, she's got potential, this song is moving?
Yeah, I think absolutely. It's almost like a focus group, right? Where you put it online and you're like, who's going to respond to this? Who's going to react? And when it does something, it kind of makes you and labels, and people go, there might be something here.
Yeah. So you're represented by Synapse Publishing. Tell us about the relationship with a publisher, promoter. How does that work?
Right. I always take it with so much gratitude. Some people never get the chance to have a deal of any kind, so the fact that I've been able to be signed is just a huge opportunity that I don't take lightly. My relationship with my publisher is great. We've gotten a lot done together, and there's just more and more to come. She really, and the whole label has helped me to write more songs, write better songs, keep me growing, and you know, just help find the right opportunities for me.
Yeah. And so you're performing while you're on this Star Search. Is it nice to meet the up and coming, or those people who want to be successful like you?
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's so exciting to get to network with artists that are just starting out. We even have some contestants that have been doing it as long as I have that are incredibly, incredibly talented. So getting to meet these people and say, hey, we should write when I'm back in Nashville, you know, has been a really, really fun opportunity.
Now, you sometimes make stops for charities and even military posts. Tell us about your connection with armed forces.
Yeah, so my husband is in the Army, and he is in the infantry. He's done a lot of great work in his career so far, and I'm very blessed to be a part of that community. I have great support systems through other Army spouses, and it's definitely difficult, but we're really grateful for the life that we have.
Has it influenced your music? You have a song coming out called 232, but you have other songs as well. How has being apart from your loved one made a difference.
Yes,
musically.
you know, these feelings that we write about, whether it's military, long distance relationships, it's very universal. And so his time away has definitely inspired a lot of music for me. I've been very inspired also just by the strength and courage of other spouses that I've met and gotten to become very close with. So definitely a lot of music is inspired by the life in the military, because that's just not written about for a lot of people. So I really want to be able to put music out there for people that don't have songs about that.
How would you describe your music and, you know, country, even though country now is actually crossing over to pop? I mean, that's probably a good thing. Do you like that idea?
I do. I love the idea of lots of music blending. I think music is music. We don't have to put it in a perfect box. My music definitely leans more traditional country, just due to my roots. That's just how I was raised, and that's just where I come from. But I do love seeing all the different genres starting to cross.
Yeah. So you've lived in Nashville now, but you're heading back to Texas?
That's correct, yes. So the military keeps us very busy. We were very fortunate to spend a couple years in Nashville, and that's where I got to establish my career even more and sign that record deal. And I'm very lucky to be able to take it with me wherever we go with his military service. So we're headed back to Texas, which is home.
All right. So let's talk about what's next for the bus tour. You're heading toward Nashville, toward the finals and concerts. What's that going to be like?
I'm so excited. You know, time on the bus is always a blast, especially with other friends and artists. Getting to all be on the bus together has been a really, really good time. We're excited to see the talent coming up in Nashville and then Chicago and eventually the finals.
So what do you look for? I mean, you're not necessarily one of the judges, but what do you see in these young people that you're like, oh, that really marks talent?
Ooh, I think an honest song. When I hear somebody just bleed on stage and just share their soul, you can just tell the difference in a song that somebody kind of thought, I might write a song today versus a really honest, authentic song. That's what always gets me personally.
Is it hard to write those songs? I mean, you personally, is it, oh, I don't know if I want to talk about that?
Sometimes it can be, and sometimes I even have to mentally tell myself I don't ever have to share this song if I don't want to, and I just write from a really, really honest place. Those end up being the songs that I do share.
Because they're really good.
Yes, and I think when we share that honesty, it's the one thing that makes people feel less alone out there.
Yeah. Well, Delaney, and thank you so much. Good luck on your tour, and we appreciate you stopping by here at Missouri Southern.
Thank you for having me. It's been so much fun.
Well, that wraps up this edition of Newsmakers. Our thanks to artist Delaney Ann and Andrew Salgado for not only talking with us, but also performing a concert on campus for students and the public, and for telling us all about the SynapseStarSearch bus tour with concerts on the way to finals in Nashville. And thank you for watching Newsmakers.